So good afternoon everybody and welcome to today's EAUC webinar. The title of today's webinar is NUS Students Green Fund Working with the Community, and this webinar is part of a four-part series. We have already done one webinar and the recording can be found on the website, and I can link to that later. Today's webinar will last approximately an hour, and it is in the Community and Public Engagement Life Framework and also, of course, the Student Engagement Life Framework, and more information about these frameworks can be found on our website. In terms of competency level, today we're discussing levels about starting out and on the road. Again, more information can be found on the website. So my name's Emma, and I'm the Member Events and Communities Officer here at the EAUC. If you do have any specific events, training or webinar requests, I am the person to talk to, so just get in contact with me at any time. I'll be happy to talk to you. I also work with our community groups, so as a member of the EAUC, I strongly encourage you to join one of these groups. We have communities of practice and regional groups, and if you are a Scottish member, there are also topic support networks. And more information about these can be found specifically on the member zone on our website. You may have previously attended or heard of exchange webinars. These are continuing, but due to their popularity, we have developed a new range of EAUC webinars. These are for EAUC members only and are an added benefit to your membership. They are generally more detailed with clear learning outcomes, expert speakers, and will allow for more complex topics. And they will all last between 1 and 1.5 hours, depending on the topic. Shortly after today's webinar has finished, you'll receive a certificate of attendance to place on your personal development file as a record of training, and that again is benefit of the EAUC webinars. So just a little bit of housekeeping to go over now. I am hoping that everyone can hear me well. I have muted you all just to avoid any background noise, and you'll continue to be muted throughout the webinar. If you have any technical issues at all during the webinar, please let me know either by posting in the on-screen chat box or dropping me an email to easton@eauc.org.uk, and you can find that on the screen that's up at the moment. Hopefully most of you do have working microphones. Don't worry too much if you don't, as you'll still have the opportunity to ask any questions at the end via the chat box, which you can find in the bottom right hand side of your screen. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded as a resource with all the presentations later on today. Again, that link will be sent to you. And please feel free to share this with any colleagues or fellow EAUC members. Once the webinar has finished, you'll also be sent a short survey to gain your feedback. Please do take a few minutes to complete the survey, as the results will help us to improve our CPD and future events. So that's all from me for now. Thanks again for registering, and I will now pass you over to our first speaker, who is Emily from NUS.
Thanks, Emma. My name's Emily from as Emma said, and welcome to this webinar. I'm the Students Green Fund Programme Manager at the National Union of Students. And as many of you will know, in April 2013, the NUS was given a pot of funding from HESCI for student-led sustainability projects. That funding, the Students Green Fund, was all given out last summer after a competitive bidding process. And we're now 11 months into some really innovative student engagement projects. And they're running across England, right from Falmouth and Exeter down south to Newcastle Students' Unions up in the north of England. And in today's session, I'm joined by 3 of the Students' Green Fund projects. Teresa Shepherd from Hampton's Hampton project, Red Kelly from SCAN at Newcastle Students' Union, and Anna Bickerstaff from the Leeds Green Exchange project. We're going to give you an introduction to the community partnerships that they've made across their 3 projects and the lessons that they've learned along the way. The Students' Green Fund model is really quite special for students taking a lead on sustainability, for tackling issues of priority for both student unions and the university, cutting carbon, improving the student experience, equipping students with vital employability skills, and of course, strengthening community relations. I also know that the Students' Green Fund projects are by no means the only examples of really good practice within the sector. I'm keen to open up the discussion at the end to hear from those present about what has and hasn't worked on your campuses and local communities. Over the last 3 years, we've conducted large-scale research with the Higher Education Academy, the HEA, on student attitudes towards sustainability. And those findings show that 2/3 of students want to learn more about sustainability, and 80% believe that sustainable development is something that a university should actively incorporate and promote. The students really do want to engage on this agenda and gain vital employability skills for their future careers. The Professor David Orr states that the destruction of the planet is not the work of ignorant people, it's the actions of extremely well-qualified people who have been through our education system. Education can equip people to become more effective vandals of the earth. So our vision of NUS is that student unions start to become hubs of sustainability within their local communities. Through embedding sustainability in curriculum, in their academic and support departments, for the residents as well as local community. We'll be equipping students with the skills and experience they need to leave education as part of the solution to the world's pretty serious environmental challenges. I'm pleased now to hand over to Louisa Shepherd, who heads up the University of Roehampton Hampton project, to talk about her work with students and local community in South London.
Hi everyone, thank you for handing me over, Emily. Apologies that you can't see me today. I couldn't get my hands on a computer with a webcam, but hopefully you can hear me clearly. So as Emily said, Roehampton is based at the University of Roehampton, and we are one of the 25 Students Green Fund projects. I'm just going to give you a bit of an introduction into to what our project does, and then tell you a few ways in which we have worked with the community to achieve some of the things we've achieved so far. So we are now about 1 year into our 2-year funded project, so we're about halfway. So we've done a few things already, and there are a few things left that we are striving to do as well. So what is Roehampton? Well, Roehampton is obviously a sustainability project, but our big focus here is on food growing. Roehampton University is based in southwest London, and I guess we are a city university, but we're also a campus university, and we've got some nice grounds here that previous to the project were not being probably as utilised as much as they could be for food growing. So our big aim of the project was to establish productive food growing sites on the university campus grounds and engage our staff and students with food growing, and also engage the local community with that as well. So that was our first main thing that we set out to do. We now have a main growing site, which is very productive, and we also are looking to develop our college growing sites on each of the colleges here. So we have 4 other colleges. We are going to create a growing bed for each of those colleges so that students and staff on those colleges can take ownership for that area. In terms of the team, there's myself, I'm the Roehampton Development Officer, and we are very lucky to have Joel Williams, who is our full-time grower, and he comes with a background in agricultural science and a lot of knowledge in food growing. The third member of our team is Nick Owen, and he is our coffee shop manager. So that's the other big element of our project. Number 1, we've kind of established food growing sites. Number 2, we have actually constructed and opened our own sustainability cafe here on the campus, which specialises in local, organic and ethical food, and also features food from our growing site as well. So we grow it, and then we have an outlet for it as well, so that we can share it with staff, students and the community. Obviously, a huge part of our project is engagement. So we want to engage students, we want to engage staff, and we also want to engage our community, which strengthens the social aims of this project and also helps us produce more food and be more productive. There's loads and loads going on, but what I'm going to focus on kind of in the rest of the presentation is how we are working with our community to do this. So our first big job was to set up our growing spaces. We had, as I mentioned, a little allotment society, but we didn't have any designated area for growing or anything like that. So we worked with our university, with the estates and facilities team to work out a suitable location for our main productive growing site and then for our little college growing sites as well. Once we had negotiated with them and found the best area for that, we actually needed to get the area ready for growing. So we constructed a big polytunnel. The reason for the polytunnel was to obviously extend our growing season, working with university timetable. The students obviously aren't here in the summer. So we wanted to extend our growing season so that we had lots of stuff growing in September, October, and still on towards January and February to maximise engagement. So to build our polytunnel, we worked with a community organisation called Cultivate London. They have apprentices for young people to learn about agriculture, and they also have expertise, we found out, in constructing polytunnels. They've done 8 of them before. So we called on these guys. We bought the polytunnel, but we called on these guys to help us with the construction. So they brought along their apprentices on the day, and also we used our students and a couple of staff members as well to put up the tunnel over the course of 3 days, and we worked with about 20 volunteers to do that. Once we had constructed the polytunnel, the next big challenge for us was to get all of our raised beds, both inside the polytunnel and outside of the polytunnel, constructed. So we teamed up with the Big Dig, which is a national program that kind of facilitates community members on community projects throughout the whole of the UK. So we registered with these guys and set up the day. The day involved lots of shoveling of soil and shoveling of compost and manure and getting the beds ready. And the volunteers we had on that day had a really good day, and for us, we got lots of work done as well. And then once we'd done those big things, we teamed up again with another community organisation called Give and Gain. Give and Gain facilitate local business in volunteering with, local community projects. So we had, again, a team of about 20 volunteers from a local business to us come along and put the final touches, so to speak, on our main productive growing site. So they created paths outside of the polytunnel and also around our beds, creating wood chip paths, so that in kind of the muddier months and when we're showing other staff and volunteers around and also doing volunteering with those, that they've got kind of a better and less muddy work area to be working in. I think what we learned from working with these organisations is just how incredibly engaged people can be when they have the opportunity to work on a project like this, and how actually we couldn't have really got the volume of work done without them. Moving on to the next slide, so moving on to our community cafe. The idea behind the Hive Cafe is that we wanted to create a social space and more of a community vibe and more of an independent place than was currently available on campus. The rest of our catering on campus is quite commercial and is owned or is kind of managed by one company. So the Hive Cafe gave us the opportunity to be able to provide our staff and students and community members with more sustainable food options. This means that we could look for local suppliers and we could source organic food and also ethical food. One of the things that we offer is triple certified coffee, which means that it's organic, fair trade, and is also Rainforest Alliance. In terms of engaging the community and engaging staff and students, we realised that not everybody is naturally into green issues or sustainability issues, but lots of people are into coffee and into tea and into buying their lunch. So if we could engage everybody and on that level by offering kind of a product that a premium product that they want to buy that tastes good and is sustainable, it's kind of a really good way to engage people that are not necessarily interested in green issues, and we've been seeing that work. But a key element of our community cafe is that we've really taken good care as to where all of our food is sourced from. So we're working with lots and lots of community partners as our suppliers. One of those is the Feel Good Bakery. So the Hive Cafe itself is a social enterprise. All of the profits from the Hive are ring-fenced for the continuation of Hampton. At a similar time, a new social enterprise called the Feel Good Bakery was starting up in our local community and is run by a charity called Regenerate. Regenerate provide employment and training opportunities for young people who are out of work. And their idea with the Feel Good Bakery was that they had an actual social enterprise, an actual business where young people coming out of prison or young people who've been formerly members of gangs could learn the skills and have something on their CVs to use as a platform. After they volunteered with the Feel Good Bakery, they could then go, or being employed by the Feel Good Bakery, could then go on to further employment opportunities. So their idea and their initiative is to create local fresh sandwiches and supply every morning and supply them to local business. We teamed up with those guys and are now selling their sandwiches in the Hive Cafe. So we provide them with a retail outlet, and they in return provide us with fresh, local, sustainable produce that we can offer to our staff and students. In addition to the Feel Good Bakery, we also source all of our bread and cakes and kind of offers to go with coffee from a baker who's literally a couple of miles away down the road. He was a new emerging business as well, and so everything's just really, really local. So in addition to the kind of daily operations of the Hive, we have a regular market day. Market days are on Thursday, and they are basically an opportunity for different community members to come together and kind of sell their produce. We have our harvest day in the morning where we work with volunteers to harvest our own produce, and then we sell bags of stir-fry mix, lettuce mix, radishes, etc. And our grower, Joel, runs that store. But in addition to that store, we have a Bread Angels store. Bread Angels are a community of local home bakers. And they come together to provide artisan bread at kind of different market days. We have teamed up with the local Bread Angel in our area, and together we're facilitating a bread club at the Hive Cafe on Thursdays. So the Bread Angels send out an email to staff, students and the community on the weekend. Everyone on the list says what they would like that day, and then they collect it at the market day at the university on a Thursday. So that's one example there. I think I'm missing my what's next slide, but that's okay. I can just talk about it. So what's next for us is facilitating a community veggie box scheme. So Roehampton Challenge is an initiative that's happening in the Roehampton community, and I should mention that actually quite adjacent to Roehampton University is the Roehampton community that I'm talking about, and it has been identified as kind of an area of economic deprivation. So one of the initiatives that our local council, the Wandsworth Council, are facilitating at the moment is called Roehampton Challenge. Basically, Roehampton Challenge is aimed at improving the health and lifestyles of people living in Roehampton. One of their initiatives is for the local community to come together and start a food enterprise. So we have been on a steering group with some members of the local community for the last couple of months, coming together with some plans for a food enterprise which is taking the shape of a veggie box scheme. So together with a few members of the community, we're going to make that available to our community, also to our staff and students as well. We will find a local organic supplier, probably kind of in the Kent and Surrey area, buy in that food on a weekly basis, package it up into smaller veggie bags, and then distribute that to members of our community who are interested in accessing it, using the Hive Cafe as a pickup point. So again, inviting kind of all of our community members to the Hive Cafe through that location. So that's just a few of the things that Roehampton are doing with the community. But you're also going to hear from Red Kelly today from Newcastle Students Union. So I'd like to hand you over to her.
I work for SCAN, Student Community Action Newcastle, which is the volunteering charity at Newcastle University Students Union. And we're running, I'm just going to go on to my slide, we're running a range of 7 different environmental and sustainability projects as part of our SGS programme. I'm going to focus on 4 of them today, for which we're particularly engaging with the local community off campus. Just having a bit of trouble moving slides forward.
Hi, Red. No worries. If you just click on the actual slide itself before you try manoeuvring, it might move it on.
I don't know whether it's a connectivity problem or whether I should just talk.
Okay, no worries. I'll just take the presenter.
I'll just do. Okay, thank you.
Sorry about this, everyone. We seem to have hit on a technical issue.
Shall I just keep talking for a while while
yes, if you could do that, that would be great. Thank you, Red.
That's fine. So all of our projects contribute to direct environmental improvements across Newcastle and its area. and all in some way or other engage with local communities. But I'd like to explore some of the particular successes of the project, our approaches to community engagement and how we've actually gone about that, and what's worked particularly well, and some of the challenges which we've encountered and how we've managed to weave our way around them and plan for the future. So our Student Green Fund project incorporates several different aims to build on the environmental and sustainability beliefs and strengths of the university, and also to increase student participation in green activity, and for them to then go out and educate others through practical shared action in the local community. We want to promote a deeper understanding of sustainable food sourcing, growth, distribution and consumption amongst the student population and university staff, but then that learning being passed on to, in particular, young people and people with disabilities out of the community. And for us to really kind of capitalise on students' drive and enthusiasm, as Emily said in her introduction, it really is something that students care deeply about. We're trying to give people that shared experience of volunteering. It's what students want. Lots of students come into SCAN wanting to volunteer alongside local people so that they can develop relationships with the local community, and they can really feel a part of the place that they're living while they're out in the university. As I said, we do have 7 different strands of the project. I'd like to focus on 4 of them. The first being Rupert Project, Guerrilla Gardening, also a grant scheme that we're running, and our allotment garden and green market project. And I'll just explore a little bit about the different ways in which we've engaged with community organisations and individuals through those different programmes. I think maybe I've got my slides back, so I'm just going to scoot through to the right place. That's brilliant, we're back on track. So the first project I wanted to explore is the Rupert's Wood project. It's an environmental education project, and we're very lucky to have a partnership with a landowner in Northumberland who is the patron of SCAN and has close link. He was a Newcastle University student back in the day. He's also got really strong environmental beliefs himself, and he is generous enough to let us use his estate out in Northumberland to bring students out to do conservation projects and conservation work there over a range of different things, and also to bring hundreds of children out onto his land for us to run around and really give them a close experience of nature. So our students have run a programme of sustainability, environmental education and practical conservation workshops and residential for local children's youth groups. And those have been planned and delivered by students. So we've been working with our student volunteers to build their confidence and train them up to give them the skills they need to develop their own activities and then to actually lead those in practice within people's groups. So over the past 7 months, that's been building slowly. We've delivered 9 day trips and 1 residential so far. And we're looking forward to going into our main season in the summer holidays. We've got 11 residentials and day trips organised over the summer holidays, so it's going to be a really busy time of year for this particular project. We recruit young people's groups via SCAN's existing network. We act as a volunteer bureau for students to be placed out with local community organisations. So we refer volunteers out into the local community already. What we've done is the students have been looking at which groups don't have access to their own transport, so they can't necessarily experience the kind of woodland environment as is shown on the slide here, and prioritising those with no transport and little funding. So we've been looking across all of the groups and then inviting the groups that are at greatest need and in the areas of highest deprivation. So we've been really targeting the work that we've been doing to reach those that need it most. The camps this summer will involve over 120 children and young people, ranging from 8 years old to 17. And activities planned by our student volunteers include environmental education, lots of exploration of the woodland environment, looking at biodiversity of the woodlands, doing open air laboratory surveys, food growing and harvesting and campsite cookery, some bushcraft skills and wild art using that natural materials around them, and all sorts of woodland conservation and exploration activities. So really looking at how young people themselves can work alongside our volunteers to improve the environment, to look at adder habitats, to look at protection of red squirrels, etc. So lots of fun and games, but all with a message about what everybody can do individually to improve their environment. This strand of the project has already engaged over 360 young people, and most of them, as I said, are living in the most disadvantaged areas. Young people are working alongside our students to learn about how to take care of their environment and how they can make changes to their everyday lifestyle. So in terms of recycling, in terms of energy use, in terms of the decisions they make every day, so that they can make a positive impact themselves. And it's learning for the students and the young people. It's a learning journey that they take together. A huge element of the project is around conservation work, as I've mentioned, red squirrels, adders, bees and pollinators, harvesting and campfire cookery. And you'll see here young people working alongside our volunteers to harvest vegetables from our vegetable plot that we've got up there. One of the challenges we experience is managing a veg growing plot away from the city is once workshops on planting that have taken place during the school holidays in February and over at Easter, it's been a long time until the next school break, and weeding and watering still needs to happen, and that did become a bit of an issue at one point. So we've taken the bull by the horns, and we've engaged volunteers from the local school to help with this. So we've been running some workshops over the last term during term time for local schools, so they've been then contributing to the weeding and watering and management of the plot. And students have therefore been able to engage with a completely different community, and the orchard and veg plot are being managed much more effectively now. During the summer, some young people will be acting as young volunteers, so they're taking on a slightly more responsible role that older young people from the community group, working with maybe younger participants of their kids club, and that kind of sharing and volunteering alongside each other does encourage people to look at their roles and responsibilities in camp in a different way, and hopefully by working alongside students, give people a different perspective and maybe consider university as an option for them personally. The second project is our market garden allotment. We've got 3 large allotment plots side by side, and we're about to take in 2 more. They're all within a 15-minute walk of the university campus. And partnerships with this project are varied, but the most striking kind of relationships that has been built with the local community is with the other plot holders on the allotment site. It's a huge allotment site, so there's lots of different kinds of people working at their own plots on the site. And we've obviously taken quite a big stake, and people have seen a huge change with our polytunnels going over that heated greenhouse. Alfie, in his 70s, is our nearest neighbour, and he had a nasty stroke last year, which means he struggles to manage with heavier jobs during the growing year. And our students now have quite a close relationship and reciprocal relationship with him and the other plot holders similar to him in a situation who are struggling maybe to maintain their plots. We help them with heavier jobs, and they in return give us expertise. So Alfie and other plot holders now regularly lead activities and tasks on the students' allotment. Alfie recently showed a group of Chinese students how to decorate and plant up strawberry runners, and we've helped them dig over some heavy areas of ground. And it's kind of a sharing of expertise, and also it gives that opportunity for people to look on the student population in a different way and in a positive way, and seeing how much of a difference people can make when they get together for the academic. We've recently been offered another double plot by the allotment committee, so they obviously are viewing the project very positively. They've seen how hard the students are working to not only improve our plot, but include the planting for pollinators around the whole site, and the contribution that we're making to improving the general environment in the area. A new partnership in the pipeline for this project is with the Girl Guides group locally. This is Drew Kay, who's a member of university staff and regularly volunteers on the spot. And we're successfully engaging with more university staff as news travels via our on-campus green market. Just talk a little bit about the green market. They're growing. We had our first one in December, and we had 10 stores. It then went up to 15 in March and 20 at our most recent in May. They've proven very popular with students and university staff, bringing together local, ethical and sustainable traders from the local area for food, for crafts, all sorts of different interests. And also we've got a workshop element teaching people about how to cook food more sustainably and from more sustainable sources. We see the market as a really high visibility opportunity to communicate what the university and what the Students' Union are doing about sustainability to both our own students in the uni, but also to the local community. And they can act as a showcase for our food growing and our sustainable microbrewery and our beekeeping projects as well, and act as a channel for people to get involved. They are encouraging local residents to walk through the university and linger and see what students are doing about sustainability. But it's an area of local engagement that we really want to build on over the coming years. And one of the challenges we've encountered with this stream is managing competition with other local markets, farmers markets, and getting out the message to the local community how we are different, what different kinds of things we're offering to effectively entice people onto the campus. So we're working very closely with traders and with the local council on the makeup of the market and the timing of the market to make sure that we're adding something different, not necessarily working in competition, but adding to what's already there and really getting that sustainability message out to the wider community. We have a workshop element, as I mentioned before, so Sustrans has come along on the bike fixing workshops. We also have Food Nation and microwave cookery, so looking at food preparation and cooking with local ingredients in a different way, and it's really a participatory way of something different that the market can offer that maybe the central Newcastle farmers market does not. So we're really looking at how we can entice people onto this. The next project I'd like to quickly talk about is the Guerrilla Gardening program. We support local communities through the Guerrilla Gardening team to improve their local environment. So it could be planting a wildflower meadow, cleaning up an area of disused wasteland. We've done a lot of tree planting and a lot of wildflower planting for the benefit of pollinators, cleaning up street planters. All of these things have been identified by local communities, and we are working alongside them and providing that help in terms of resources and staffing from student volunteers, all of that energy and enthusiasm. Big teams of student volunteers go along and help communities blitz their own eyesores and their own environmental problems. So some examples of the partnerships we've developed through this project are with local primary schools, and we help out with West Jesmond Primary School Green Day, working on their gardens and allotments and helping them to do the heavier jobs that the smaller children can't manage. This group that you can see on the screen is Harvest and Help. They work in the Berkeley area of Gateshead with people with learning disabilities and physical disabilities. And they've got an allotment which is actually bigger than ours, but they're also running an outreach scheme to improve opportunities for people with disabilities to volunteer in their local communities. And we've been going along to support them with some of their bigger projects. It's a real kind of good partnership project where we can go and blitz things together. People can learn from one another, people can learn about different backgrounds, different lifestyles, and really kind of share that shared experience of volunteering for the benefit of the environment. We're coming from completely different backgrounds. We work a lot with the Northern County College and with Community Links, both groups who support people with quite profound physical disabilities and learning disabilities. Again, trying to help boost their capacity to be able to do some of the jobs that physically they might not be able to manage within their own team. So it's about working in partnership to make sure that together we can actually achieve a lot more to improve the local environment. We planted 600 trees along the Grandstand Road in the east end of Newcastle, and that was a partnership programme done shared with Green and Grove, and this has led to an ongoing partnership. Several of their volunteers are now volunteering for us regularly every Friday. The local women come down and help our students on our student allotment, which is a really good kind of reciprocal relationship as we help blitz a massive project for them and they're coming in giving us regular help. All the Guerrilla Gardening tasks we offer the opportunity for students to work alongside local people to improve the local environment. And this is having a strong impact on perception of students and of the university as they're tackling environmental issues or local eyesores which have been nominated for change by local people. So our only challenge with this project seems to be the demand spiralling. The last project I'd like to quickly run through is our Green Grant scheme. We've established a £20,000 fund to enable students to fund projects that will get young people thinking about sustainability issues. Now, it could be about recycling, it could be about sustainable transport, it could be about energy use. We accept any type of project as long as the impetus has come from young people within the local community. And these projects are to establish new volunteering opportunities for our student volunteers out in the community to help young people achieve their own environmental aims. The grants are awarded by a panel of student volunteers. They can range up to £2,000. And so far, we've had a small team of student volunteers working with a career development module students to promote the fund via a new web page, via an online flyer and newsletter. They've worked out their strategy for promoting the fund and connecting with this grant opportunity with the local community, and it's been really successful for our first funding bid. So they've contacted every parent-teacher association group, youth organisations, SCAMS network, local funding networks. They really did a blitz of getting the word out there, and we're really pleased that we've been able to fund 6 projects so far. This is one of our funded projects at Throckley Primary School. It's a sustainable transport project to encourage the children and the parents to walk or cycle to school. And as part of this project, we've helped fund a campaigning video. The young people have filmed and edited, and now they're taking this video it's about kind of safe walking routes to school, what the issues are for them in safely getting to school, and they're taking it to their local board of councillors and through the transport partnership to be able to try and really make a positive impact so more kids can walk safely to school and parents know that it's a safe opportunity for them to do so. I think my time is up, so I'll round up. I would love to tell you about the other Green Grants Fund projects, but I think that just gives a little bit of a reflection over our 7 different strands of the project, the different partnerships that we've been able to build up over the last 12 months or so. So I'd now like to pass over to Anna in Leeds for her presentation.
Hello. Hi, I hope everybody can see me. I should be able to put video on as well. Okay, so hello, my name is Anna and I'm the Assistant Manager on Leeds University Union's Student Fund project, the Green Exchange. Our project is kind of similar to Newcastle's in that there's lots of different branches of it, and a lot of them incorporate the community, but it's a bit of a patchwork project. But it's also Leeds University Union's first ever dedicated sustainability project, so that's really exciting. Okay, so on this next slide here, you can see that this is our rationale for our project. When we were applying for the Green Fund, we did some consultation with staff and students both at the university and also in the union as well. And these were the key themes that came up in what they would want the project to incorporate. And obviously there's obvious things like creating sustainable change and also developing skills for our students and engaging with sustainability, but also, as you can see, community was one of the key themes that came up, so that's really shaped how we engage with the community as part of our project, which is really important and exciting. So this next slide will introduce you to how our patchwork project is kind of broken down into 4 different sections. So Talk, Connect and Shape is our communication strand of our project, and that's very much focused around online discussions, generating online content and social media, and doing pop-up events on and around campus on sustainability issues. And we're going to be having those pop-up events in our halls of residencies in September as well. But the other 3 areas of the project are much more where we're focused on engaging with the community as well. So this next slide, I'll just run you through each of those areas of the project. So Develop, Fund and Transform is our own mini student fund. So our students, we set aside £60,000 in a pot for our students to apply to run their own sustainability projects. And even though those projects are student-led, they can be run in partnership with community groups. So that obviously provides a great opportunity for community groups as well as an opportunity for students to engage with the local community. Live, Shop and Explore is very much in keeping with one of our main themes as Leeds University Union. Our motto is love your time at Leeds, and this area of the project is really getting students to do that in a sustainable way, whether that's through things like shopping more locally or through things like our Leave Leeds Tidy project. And then Eat, Learn and Grow encompasses our already existing edible growing projects and how we've expanded those through the Green Exchange, which has been really fantastic. Okay, so the first area in a bit more detail then on this next slide is our student fund. So as I said, £60,000 available over the 2 years of the project. Our students can apply for roughly anywhere between £200 and £1,000, and roughly all of the project grants at the moment have been between £800 and £1,000, which is fantastic because they're really high impact projects. We do also accept applications for larger sums of money if the project is going to have a really big reach. And our projects focus are to enhance employability of the students, obviously, and demonstrate a commitment to sustainability, but also to generate volunteering opportunities within the community, and also providing an area of mass engagement not only with our students, but also with the community members as well. And our fund is also open to any SU in Leeds, because we're the only institution in Leeds to apply for the NUS Green Fund. As one of the sort of conditions of our funding, we said that we would offer some of our projects out to the other SUs as well, which means that we've managed to engage with the other unions that are working in Leeds, and 2 of those unions have already applied to run their own projects and have been successful in their bids, so that's really fantastic. And as I said, whilst the projects have to be student-led so that we're enhancing employability and ensuring that our students are getting the most out of the Green Fund money, they can partner with community groups or with community organisations to make the changes that they want to see. So this next slide, I'll just introduce 2 of our kind of most successful projects and what they've achieved in the local community. So Homegrown Your Own is a project that's run by one individual student called Emma, and she wanted to, on a very basic level, teach people how to grow their own food. So she set up some action days in local community centres around Leeds, and just did workshops to do with growing your own food and potting up plants and building planters. But the kind of wider implications of that for her were that she wanted to break down the stigma between student transient populations and the more permanent residential populations. So in doing these action days where she was getting both groups to come along at the same time and focus on the same tasks, she hoped to kind of create a more mutual understanding and relationship within the student areas of Woodhouse. And then the Real Junk Food project are kind of our most celebrated project in that they've had kind of local, national and international press coverage with what they're doing, and their focus is waste food. So they intercept food that's headed for landfill from surplus areas, so places like restaurants, supermarkets, food photographers. They get the food from our local arena when the riders have been finished with, and they cook all that food up in a space they have in Armley, which is one of the more deprived areas of Leeds, in a pay-as-you-feel cafe. So that's open for anyone to go along and pay what they feel they can afford for the food or what they feel the food is worth. And so far they've managed to feed over 2,000 people, over 1,000 meals, and have diverted 10 tonnes of food from landfill, and they've been featured in the Guardian and the Daily Mail, so that's a really successful project for us. And on this next slide, this is back to Emma, who is, as I said, the leader of Homegrown Your Own, and this just kind of demonstrates why she felt working with the community was important on her project. And she said it's because she felt that a community growing project could help bring the 2 different resident groups together while simultaneously creating more green space in LS6. These green spaces could be a focal point for the community, gardening greater reflection and care for the area, and becoming something positive that persisted even after students have moved on or changed homes. And through the Green Exchange, she's been given the funding contacts and help she needed for her ideas, to get all the materials and to advertise the growing days. It's been an amazing learning experience that has taught me an incredible amount about project management, budgeting and promotion. So that's one area of our project that we're really proud of. This next area on the next slide is talking about our Eat, Learn and Grow, so those that are kind of edible growing projects. Barden Grange Wall Garden has been an allotment site for 5 years now that we've had as the union, and through the Green Exchange we've managed to keep that going, but also work on campus as well with our sustainable garden that we run in partnership with the university. So that's half urban pollinator space and half an edible growing space, and that's very much a case of walking through and helping yourself with stuff on your way to lectures or on your way home. So it's a bit of a propaganda space as well as it is a garden, just to get people to think about food and to think about growing their own food. But the main way that we kind of engage with the community is simply by getting people to come along to these growing sessions. Barden Grange, as I said, has been running for 5 years, and whilst the students obviously change every year in terms of who's volunteering, we also have quite an active group of community volunteers who are quite often older gentlemen who come along and are able to share their experiences with the younger students and teach them about growing food, and again to kind of generate a really positive atmosphere between students and permanent residents in that local area up in Far Headingley, because it's a really beautiful space and it's really nice to see younger students engaging with permanent residents up there, and obviously then they can share in the things that they grow together, which is fantastic. Another way this area of the project engages with the community is that we turned that Barden Grange area that was initially a space to grow lots of different things, because we now have a second space on campus, and we also have a roof garden that's being developed as part of the Green Exchange. We've made Barden Grange into a salad enterprise, and we're selling our salad now to some local independent businesses, which is fantastic. And one of the businesses actually provided the food for our project launch, so it's become a really positive mutual relationship, and it's really nice to be able to support local independent businesses as well as be kind of established as a local independent supplier within the city as well. So yeah, that's really fantastic. So this next slide is just a picture of one of our very lovely community volunteers who's been with us for the past 5 years, called Robert. And there was just a quotation, although I think possibly my video is above it on my iPad, but you might be able to see it. But it's just him saying that he's really pleased to see how much the garden has grown and how much it's developed and how much they're producing both as community and students, which is fantastic. Okay, and then the third area of our project, which is very much the most community focused, because as I said, it's about getting students to not only love being in Leeds but also engaging with it in a more sustainable and ethically sound way. So one of the ways we're doing that, as you may guess from the title, Live, Shop and Explore, is by encouraging students to shop more locally. And this is something that we're kind of getting started with at the moment, and we'll be relaunching in September. So our community reps, as part of our community team, developed their own kind of mini guide to independent and local places in Leeds that they thought students should know about, and they've all been drawn up into a map that's going to be distributed to students in their new houses. So there'll be things that are flagged in the kind of key student areas where they live, so different postcodes, but then also there's going to be a kind of more sustainable guide to the city centre, and that guide to the city centre is going to be expanded on the Green Exchange website in September, which is going to be great. But the kind of main thing that the Green Exchange help work on is something that's actually led by our community team, which is our Leave Leave Tidy project. So I'll just introduce that to you on this next slide here. And so Leave Leave Tidy is our student changeover project, which we've just kind of finished all of our action days, and it's been a really busy period, as I'm sure lots of the unis will agree. Basically, it's our project that diverts any student unwanted items from landfill, and we employ student champions to go out and talk to people by knocking on people's doors, telling them about the project, letting them know about local recycling facilities, and then we also run a series of action days, usually over weekends and then over the changeover date between June and July as well, where we work with 2 local charities, Emmaus and St Vincent, who go out with their vans to different points in the key residential areas to collect any donations, and then they take those and are able to sell those in their charity shops. We don't actually have our figures from this year, and we engaged with over 1,000 students through door knocking, but we don't know how much we've diverted from landfill this year. But up until the start of this year's project, it was already over 70 tonnes diverted from landfill, which is fantastic. And we also, as well as going out into the community, we also collect things from our halls of residence. So we have vans from residential services that go and collect things from halls. and even our first couple of deliveries had several tons of stuff in those vans, which we're now all very busy sorting through to distribute either to the charities that we work with and also in our permanent charity shop space. So whilst this project is very much time focused because it is based around changeover, we also have a lovely charity shop which is there for students to come along and donate items to all year round, and also to purchase second-hand items from, which is really great. And our charity shop's having some really successful events at the moment, because as well as the kind of day-to-day running, there's also been some kind of events to get more people along, get more people aware of the project, and especially to engage with the community in that way as well. And we really want to engage the community and just bringing them onto campus, so things like the charity shop really do that really well. And so this next slide is from our community officer, because that's something that we also have at Leeds, is a dedicated exec that works specifically with the community, and he thinks that Leave Tidy is one of our most important projects, although actually he's just obviously changed over to a new exec member. But our last exec officer, Frankie O'Byrne, said that many people's tenancies end on the last day of June, which can generate a lot of waste in the area, but it's great that we can work in partnership with other student unions, universities, local charities and the council to ensure that we can reuse as much stuff as possible. It's a great opportunity for everyone to get involved, give back to their community and take pride in their area. The following opportunities in the charity also allow people to develop new skills, from creatively recycling old items to communications. So that's just, again, like, as well as the project being very much about engaging the community, we're also constantly making sure that we're enhancing our students' employability, as well as the sustainability aspect of that as well. And this next slide is just a bit of feedback that we've had from people via social media. So we also this year worked with Star Bikes in Leeds, and also a computer recycling charity. Star Bikes work with refugees and asylum seekers, and they collect unwanted bikes and remodel, that isn't what I mean, do them up so that they can give them to those refugees and asylum seekers for free to help them cycle and get to know the city. And this tweet here is from one of our community members on our Twitter, saying that Leave Tidy is one of the best things going in Leeds. It's simple yet effective, and for a brilliant causes, attitudes will have changed stuff, which is really fantastic to hear. And again, through this project, we managed to employ students, and our communications assistant this year, Rosie, says here that she found it really positive to be involved in a project that had such a big impact on both student lives and local residents in the city, by minimising the impact that students have on the environment in a detrimental way of a changeover, and also just raising awareness about recycling and waste in general. And so, yeah, that's kind of a brief insight into the three kind of areas where we work in the community. So this is the next slide, is just kind of me rounding off and asking if anyone has any questions about anything that I have spoken about. But yeah, thanks very much for listening.
Lovely, thank you, Anna, and thank you to all of our speakers today. We have started to run out of a little bit of time, but I'm sure that our speakers won't mind hanging around a little bit longer if anyone does have any questions now. So I'll just give you a couple of minutes to either type them in the chat box, or if you wish to, you can unmute yourself. It's a great way to get your question in pretty quickly if you can do that. And then we can ask our speakers today.
I also wanted to add, Emma, if anyone has got any other really good case studies of their work within the community or community partnerships locally, it would be really interesting to hear from those present as well.
Perfect, thank you, Emily. Yes, again, this is the opportunity now for everyone to add anything, any opinions or insights, as well as ask any questions, as we do have our speakers live today. Oh, got a question come in now from Amy. She's asking, what advice can anyone give to universities starting out with green SU projects? What I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute all of our speakers, because I expect it's one that everybody can answer. There we go. So what advice can anyone give to universities starting out with green student union projects?
think one point would be to build on partnerships that you already have. Some of our kind of strongest links out in the community have just snowballed because there's been a bit of enthusiasm shown from an existing partnership, and then word has spread from that. So, for example, a group that came to one of our first days at Rupert's Wood for an environmental education day with their younger kids, we've now been able to give them a green grant fund to build a wormery with some of their older young people and members of the adult community out in Elvick. So, you know, look for things that have got a bit of a base and then build from there. You can always build green elements into a partnership which is already existing for a different reason.
Lovely, thank you, Red. I was just wondering, does any of our other speakers today have any input into that answer?
Yeah, hi, Teresa from Hampton. Yeah, I would totally agree with Red as well, and I would just say, building on the enthusiasm from the students you have as well. One of the examples that we have is that we now have a student beekeeper, and he found out about the project and approached us through reading something on our website that said we hope to, you know, have bees in the future. And actually he had done his A-level art and design project was building a beehive from scratch, and he has a lot of knowledge and experience in beekeeping through working with his granddad. His granddad keeps bees. Now he was in year 1. He approached us and said, "Hey, I hear you guys are thinking about getting bees. Is there anything I can do to get involved?" And actually we have used all of his experience and expertise to build on a current apiary that the environment team here had already started. So he's based down in Canterbury. That's where he beekeeps. That's where his home is. And he's got his own couple of hives down there. But he himself has brought his 2 beehives up from Canterbury, from his supplier there, and has now established 2 colonies on the roof. And next year he wants to start a beekeeping society. Our current beekeeper is a member of the London Beekeeping Association. So he's been looking after the previous hives that was established by the Wandsworth, by the environment team, sorry. So now our student and our community beekeeper are working together. And yeah, basically using the kind of skills and knowledge of students that are around you. It's amazing what people know and how they can input into the project.
Brilliant, thank you, Teresa. Unless any of our other speakers have had messages directly to them, I haven't received any more questions, and it's probably not a bad thing, as we do need to wrap up now, so I'm conscious that people need to get back to their work. But just to remind you that today's webinar is being recorded, and I will send everybody a link to it later on. And of course, you can use that opportunity to email me any questions, and I can pass on questions. I'm sure our speakers today will be on hand to answer those. But thank you again for everybody attending, and thank you to our speakers, and I'll see you all on the next webinar. Thanks, bye.